For your sake, I have borne reproach. Shame has covered my face. Shame has covered my face. One of the sure signs of shame is that a person will not look you in the face, in the eye. Why? Because there is shame. When you do something wrong, immediately you feel bad. Now when you sin, some people say, well, don't worry, nobody has seen it. Well, the problem is the person who sinned sees it, There's no way to hide it from yourself. You can hide it from everybody else. You can't hide it from yourself, and you can't hide it from God. Even before you go to God, you can't hide it from yourself. That is why when you do something very bad, immediately you feel down. Immediately there is a depressed feeling. Immediately, emotionally you feel bad. Shame causes you to cover your face. You don't want to show your face. Have you seen boys or girls who've done something wrong in school and the headmaster calls them? Don't ask me how I know. And you go and stand there. How do you stand there? You don't stand like this. You stand like this. And he's talking to you. He's always saying, look up. Listen to me. I say, Why? You've done wrong. Your head is down. You're covering your face, literally. You do not want to show your face because that's what shame is. Jesus says here, shame has covered my face. This holy Son of God who's never done anything, so filled with shame, hanging there, reproached, rejected, despised, full of sorrow and grief. No one esteems him. No one thinks of him as anything. He's dirt to everybody. And he hangs his head in shame on the cross of Calvary. What was he doing? What was he going through? He was taking our shame. Shame is a big issue. At the fall, condemnation came and shame came, and there is no power on earth that can deliver a man from shame. Now, if you got cut in your hand or leg or something, some injury, you can go to the hospital, get something done and patch it up and treat it and get something done for most of these injuries and so on. But when you're injured inside, where will you go and show? This is something you can't show anywhere. Shame is such a serious issue. He is the Son of God. He never had an ill intention about anybody. He never did anything bad. He never had any flaws in him. He was perfect. He was perfect. If he wanted, he could have turned around and burned them to ashes, these people that put him on the cross. Just imagine the kind of suffering that he went through as he hung on the cross. And he says, those that hate me without a cause are more than the hairs in my head, he says. Just gives a picture of what Jesus went through on the cross of Calvary. They also gave me gall for my food, and for my thirst they gave me vinegar to drink. You know how that was fulfilled, right? And in the place where it was fulfilled, Matthew's Gospel, chapter 27, verse 34 and 48, it says exactly what is said here, that they gave him gall for food, and for their thirst they gave vinegar to drink. Just imagine, the man is thirsty, not eaten all day, carried the cross up that hill, and has been crucified, spit upon, laughed at, ridiculed, beaten, slapped, insulted to the utmost. And now he's hanging on the cross. He's not had anything to eat, and he's thirsty, just asking for water. And these guys didn't even give him a drop of water, and they gave him this stuff. And he put it in his mouth, and he couldn't even swallow it. Just imagine the kind of treatment, insult, injury, emotionally, that thing causes. Now, I just went to all this to show you what kind of crucifixion it was and how it involved extreme suffering of shame. Psalm 22 and verse 18. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. Now, if you go to Matthew's Gospel, chapter 27, verse 35, you will see that it exactly happened like that. They divided his garments and cast lots. Cast lots on his clothing. Now, I think I mentioned it slightly last week. An average man wore 4 pieces of clothing in those days. And when crucifixion happened, there were 4 soldiers usually. So there was no problem dividing the 4 garments between them. They just picked one each and went home, after the thing was over. But in the case of Jesus, there was a problem because one of the pieces of garment that he was wearing was very high quality, expensive garment. Sorry to disappoint those who think that Jesus was poor. It was a very high quality garment, so there was a competition about who should get it. So they decided to cast lots on it. So they cast lots on his garment. But the end of the story is this. When the day was over, when Jesus was hung there, they did this, and they took away his garments. So all 4 pieces of his garments gone, and Jesus hung there totally naked. Now, some of the pictures of the statues of Jesus or pictures of Jesus that you see today are totally misleading, You feel like standing there and meditating all day, You feel so good at the feet of the cross, I tell you, I guarantee you, if you were alive and you were there at the scene, you would have turned your face away and walked out of there because it was a horrible sight to see. And there was shame involved to the extreme. This man was hanging there. The Son of God who has come as a man, hanging there, totally naked. Look at all the people that would have been there. Even some ladies were there. His mother was there. Mary Magdalene was there. And some other ladies were there. Few ladies at least were there. There may have been more. In front of men and women, he was hanging there like a common criminal, and that too like a worst criminal that there can be. What suffering and what shame. This is what happened on the cross of Calvary. Now, the shame that we suffer in this world is nothing compared to what he suffered on the cross of Calvary. He suffered it all. He suffered it to the extreme. No one can say, well, I'm suffering shame that Jesus doesn't know anything about. He has suffered shame of every kind, the extreme shame. Why? So that you never even one day suffer shame in your life. Not even one day you suffer shame in your life.